we are going to do our oil pastel skill builders. So the first one is light pressure blend. So that means I want you to kind of blend colors, but only using light pressure. So just pressing lightly. So it is gonna look a little more crayon-like. Now with oil pastels, you can see here at the beginning, it got a little green because this yellow has been used before. So sometimes you might want to just grab some like scrap paper and clean them off on some scrap paper. So especially if you're working on an official project. Okay, so I'm just pressing lightly and I'm gonna stick with like warm colors, and I'm just gonna layer a little bit on top of this yellow with this yellow orange, and then I'll grab the orange, layer on the yellow orange, and pull out to the regular orange. So this is just light pressure with oil pastels. Now, over here I want you to do heavy pressure, so I'm gonna use the same colors so you can see the difference side by side. So I'm going to press very hard now, and the goal is to block out any white of the paper. If you press hard with oil pastels, they do almost start to look like paints, which is kind of fun because then you don't have to get all the paints out and the water and everything. You can just use these. Now, when I blend, I do like to layer, so I go on top of this color with my new color. So now I'm using like this yellow orange, and then I start pulling that yellow orange out on its own. And if you need to, if this transition isn't soft enough from the yellow to the yellow orange, you can always go back with your yellow on top and kind of just soften that transition up, so you really can't tell like when things actually change. Okay, so now I'll go back to like the regular orange. I go a little on top of this and then pull it out. And that transition is not soft enough to my liking, so I'm gonna go back and just layer over. And there you go. So light pressure blend, heavy pressure blend. Okay, color mix. So this is a way, it's kind of like actual paints, how you can mix your colors. So I'm gonna take yellow, and I'm gonna come about that far across this shape, take my blue, move that onto the yellow, and you'll be able to see green forming. So you can actually color mix with oil pastels. So let's say you don't have a green in your bin, but you have blue and yellow, you can do some mixing. So you could try that, maybe down here, try another type of mixing. So I'll do blue, and maybe I'll throw some red on there and try to get a violet. There we go. When they overlap, I get the violet color. Okay, scumbling. So scumbling, circular motion. When I scumble, I like to layer in colors, let them naturally blend. So that's a fun way. You can just kind of draw in a different type of way, a different design. Very pretty, I like that a lot. Here we're gonna do values. So white and black, you're gonna need white and black. And I just want you to pick a color, color it in with heavy pressure, about 3/4 the way across. Do 2 lines. On the top one, I'm gonna grab my white. I'm gonna layer my white in. Oops, it broke. Oil pastels can break, especially if you're pressing, using that heavy pressure. And then I'll just move this white out. All right, so the goal is you want it to look soft, transition into the light. So again, if you need to get your color back out and layer on top, you can. Now black, I probably should have started maybe with black first, but black is so heavy, so usually whatever color you choose, the black's gonna dominate it. So I'm gonna go back over it with this green and really try and just blend to create that darker version of the green into the black. So this, if you need to go, like you need your color to be just a little lighter, you can mix it with white, or a little darker and you mix it with black. Those are called tints and shades. So value, light and dark, tint, shade. Okay, Scrifito. So I'm gonna do 2 different Scrifito methods here. But I'm gonna go ahead and color this whole shape in one color. All right, and then on half of this, I'm gonna choose a darker color. So make sure this color that you pick first is a little on the lighter spectrum. And then about halfway across, pick a darker color to layer on top. All right, so Scrifito means to scratch. So you're gonna get one of these right here. These are on my desk. And you are gonna scratch through the oil pastel. And you can draw whatever you like here. So you are peeling away that oil pastel you just made, and you're creating the design out of what is being taken away. You're subtracting. And when I do Scrifito, I like to make my lines really thick, just so you can see them. Especially if you have a lighter color, such as mine right here. I like to make my outlines really thick, so I kind of scratch a little more than I might if I was just doing this with like a pencil drawing or something like that. So I'm just making a little glue bottle, and then I'll just make some designs in the background just so I can practice a little more. And these will be a little thinner so you can kind of see the different types of marks to make. And again, you can draw whatever you want here, just practice. And then over on this side, if you scratch through your top layer, so this darker green, then that lighter green from the bottom is going to appear. So this is kind of nice. And this is going to provide more contrast. So you can tell already you're able to see this shape a little more clear. And then that lime green is coming through from underneath, which looks really neat. So this is a technique you could use in one of your drawing assignments. All right, so that's Scrifito. Again, Scrifito means to scratch. And then next we're gonna do blending, and we're gonna use oil. So I have baby oil in the classroom. Now I know this is not gonna be for everybody, but we're gonna practice it just so you can see how it works. So what happens here is I'm gonna just kind of create a spectrum of color, kind of like what I did up here. And I'm not gonna press down too heavy, but in the middle. All right. Now I have some baby oil in a container here. Now be careful, you don't want to get this on your clothes. And I'm going to dip my Q-tip into the baby oil. You don't want a ton on there because you don't want to make too much of a mess. But what I want you to do is I want you to layer this baby oil on top of your oil pastels. And you're going to see how this oil helps soften all of the marks and blend all these oil pastels together. Now, as the oil moves on to spots that I did not color in, it's just going to look oily. So you do want to try to keep the oil just within the oil pastel itself. And then it becomes really nice and soft. And again, it starts to appear like paint. And you're going to see how some things are going to start blending, and it becomes quite beautiful. And I'm moving a little bit in a scumbling motion right now to make sure it's all filled in. And I can already tell, like, this would be a great technique for clouds, or like a really beautiful soft tree in the springtime at night. Alrighty, so here are your oil pastel skill builders.